Okay, so it's time to go over the rest of the tackle that I found interesting at this year's Icast. So instead of going over every single item from every single manufacturer, I'm just going to go over the tackle that would interest me and my type of fishing, and tackle that I would consider buying in the future. So let's start out with Abu Garcia. Now the reel I was actually the most excited about at this year's Icast was actually an Abu Garcia called the REVO EXD baitcaster. Now the reason I'm excited about this REVO EXD is because just like the TATULA Elite, the REVO EXD was made for long distance casting. And I'm pretty sure that EXD stands for extreme distance. Now in fact I read that Abu Garcia had 4 of their pro anglers compete in a distance contest with the EXD, and allegedly some of the casts were reaching close to 100 yards. Now whether that was with reel lures versus a casting plug, I don't know. I'm leaning more towards a casting plug, but even so, that's pretty impressive. Now I haven't heard or read any reports about the casting pond this year at Icast, you know, where they let people cast all the new reels that have come out. So this REVO is going to be based on the Roxani frame, which is an overseas market reel that looks to be similar to the current REVOs, just a little bit pointier, and I really like that purple coloring. Now to achieve these long casts, it's going to have what they call EXD bearings on the spool. Now I'm not sure if these are ceramic or not. There's no information about the material used, but I suspect they are probably ceramic. And the cool thing is that it's apparently going to come with an extra shallower spool for all us bait finesse guys. Now the spool does not look like a true bait finesse type spool, but I heard that the spools are very lightweight. Now Abu Garcia says on their website that the expected release date is going to be in November. Now the bad news is that it's going to come in at $299. Now that's pretty steep, even if it comes with that extra shallow spool. But still, I do plan on getting one if I can, but I'm going to see if I can get them cheaper on eBay or Amazon. So other than the REVO EXD, Abu Garcia seemed to release Beast and Rocket variants of their existing models. On the Rocket side, we have the REVO SX Rocket, which sports a 9-to-1 gear ratio, a REVO Beast Rocket, which is a big capacity reel with a 9.2-to-1 ratio, and a REVO Toro Rocket with a 7.6-to-1 ratio. Now on the Beast side, you get the REVO Beast X, which is a beasted out version of the budget REVO X, which is a really popular seller. Now it's quite a bit more expensive than the REVO X at $179, but what you get are full aluminum side plates, an Infinity 2 spool, and a much bigger line capacity with a longer handle as well. Now on the spinning side of things, Abu Garcia released their new REVO MGX spinning reel, and it appears to be a slightly lesser spec version of the REVO MG Extreme reel, and it's cheaper as well at $299. And I have to say that I think it's a really good looking reel. So that's pretty much it from Abu Garcia that I found interesting. So let's get to Lews next. So Lews had somewhat of a big year at this year's Icast. Now big in the amount of reels they released, but not so big in the fact that there was really only one reel out of all those reels that I found interesting. So this year Lews joined the under 5 ounce baitcaster club with their new custom light SLP baitcaster. Now the frame on this reel is made from a special denser graphite called Tanzo, while the side plates are carbon. Now one of the other notable characteristics of this reel is they use a really small 30mm spool. Now it's still pretty deep as you can see, but if it's really lightweight, I'm sure this reel will be pretty versatile in the range of lure weights that it's going to be able to cast. pretty much like DAIWA's STEEZ CT. Now the other notable thing is that this reel has a frame that's totally different than any other reel in Lews lineup. And from these pictures of the reel, it's going to be very, very tiny and compact. And it looks a lot like a Shimano from a distance from the very few pictures of it that I found online. Now the bad news is that this reel isn't going to be cheap. It's going to retail for $279, pretty much the same as the Shimano CHRONARCH MGL. So it's going to be tough competition for Lews. And for those of you who know what Korean OEM factory makes Lews reels, this is basically a rebadged Doyo Liger. Now I'm not knocking it for being a rebadged Doyo Liger, and I would totally like to review one of these reels if Lews would like to send me one. Okay, so some other notable baitcasters that are on the more affordable side that Lews released are going to be the very red Lews Mock Smash, coming in at $99, so you get yet another competitor at the $99 price point, and the equally loud Mach 2 SLP with its bright green colors and wind grips coming in at $139. And they recently updated their most affordable reel, the $59 Classic Pro Speed Spool SLP. So the only other notable release that I saw is what I think is the replacement for the very popular Tournament MB reel. It's called the new Tournament MP LFS. Now it looks to be just updating the old MB to the newer frame and body and raising the price to $149. So on the rod side, I only saw one rod that got my attention, and that was their new Mach 2 casting rods. Now it's got a very unique reel seat that pretty much removes the foregrip and the bottom half of the reel seat and allows maximum contact with the blank. Now I want to say that I've seen this type of reel seat somewhere already before in the past, a few years ago, so it may be just some kind of recycled old tech. Now remember, there's nothing new under the sun. So if this blank is really sensitive, then that could be quite a interesting combination of sensitive blank and very minimal reel seat. Now these rods are going to come in at $99, so I'm not too sure how sensitive those blanks are going to be, but maybe one day I'll be tempted to buy one and try it out. So that's pretty much it for the things I found interesting released by Lews. So on the bait side of things, this year the big focus was on the Ned rig and variations of the Ned rig. Now there were way too many new Ned rig style releases to count, so I'm going to just go over the ones that I found interesting and plan to get and try out. Now the main one that caught my attention is the missile based Ned bomb. Now this is basically a Ned rig with a pointed paddle tail. Now these baits are already for sale on Tackle Warehouse, so I'm not sure just how new they are, but I can say that I have ordered some packs to try out and they should be here tomorrow. Now I've been fishing the Ned rig quite a lot recently, and I've had the most success when I hop the lure along the bottom, so this Ned bomb with its paddle tail should provide even more fish attracting movement. Now they come in 18 colors, and a lot of the colors are two-tone, with the tail being a different color than the body, as you can see. And at only $4 for a pack of 10, I find these to be a really good value, especially if they catch a lot of fish. Okay, the next very interesting Ned rig variation lure is the Strike King Rage Ned Cut R worm. So with this lure, you take a Ned rig body and you put the patented Rage tail appendage on the end. Now, I fully expect these things to slay fish, and when they finally come out for purchase, I'm definitely going to be trying some. So far, they will be released in 12 colors, and a lot of them are going to be nice two-tone colors. Now, the bad news is the price. these things are going to be $7 for a pack of 9. But even with that price, I am going to definitely try a couple out. Now also, Strike King released the Rage Ned Bug, which is basically a crawfish style bait for the Ned rig. And as you can see, it looks like these things are probably going to slay the fish as well. Now, both of these lures are expected to come out in September. So the final lures I'm going to go over are from the hottest brand in fishing right now, and that's Googan baits. Now, whether you love them or hate them, I think Googan baits are here to stay. And the Googan baits have given us their take on the Ned rig as well with the Rattling Ned. Now what's interesting is the widely spaced ribbing on this lure that looks a little bit more natural to me. And these are coming in 11 colors, and I'll have to say that all 11 colors look like they will catch fish. A lot of them are two-tone with no bright unnatural colors in the lineup. Now I keep mentioning two-tone because one of the colors I've had the most success on with the Z-Man TRDs is the two-tone PB&J color. Okay, so the last bait is the Googan Baits Lunker Log, which is pretty much a blatant copy of the Yamamoto Senko. Now I remember when the Googans launched their baits, they got a lot of hate for copying various popular lures with their new baits, and this Lunker Log isn't really gonna help with that hate. Now I personally know that the Googan baits just take, proven designs and add their own little features and variations, just like every other bait company out there. So this Lunker Log is just basically another imitation to add to the super long list of Senko imitators that have preceded it. Now I personally am going to pass on the Lunker Logs, but we'll definitely try out the Rattling Neds. Okay guys, so that wraps up my coverage of the interesting releases at Icast. We didn't have quite as big a year as we did last year, so I suspect next year in 2020 it's going to be huge. Okay guys, thanks a lot.